Hello, welcome to Integrity Live. My name is Bekka Whitney, and today I have a very special guest who I've been following for quite a little while, and I'm very excited to talk with her about her journey today. Would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us what you're here to talk about today?
Hello, my name's Abi Flynn. So great to be here. I guess I'm here to talk about, well, I've just brought out a new single, but it's been more than just that. I've been on a mad journey to create the music, life and death journey. So yeah, to celebrate where I am now and have a nice chat with you about it.
Amazing. So for our viewers, if you've not come across Abi before, I've been following Abi for a couple of years now, and we were part of a same management group, and I watched a video of her one day, and she was singing at a festival in preparation for performing on stage, and I was absolutely blown away. And from that day, I've kind of silently stalked you and sort of cheered you on from the background. So you want to tell us a little bit about your journey, Abi, and kind of where you've been over the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, so I'm 30 now. When I was 26, I've been a singer my whole life, but when I was 26, I was at this stage where I was a session vocalist for a lot of great artists. I was on a label called True Thoughts. I was supporting people like Reyes and Funkadelic Parliament and Soul to Soul and some like George Clinton, some really cool people. And I was gigging 8 times a week, but I just was existing almost for this like outside version of myself in the music industry. And I basically eventually got this really strong sense that there was something deeply lacking within me, and I didn't really have a relationship to myself or know what my sound was. And I started to feel really, really weird. And then one day I had a huge pain in my chest, and I realized that at 26 I'd gotten cancer, and just dropped that bomb there. And it was an 11 centimeter tumor in my chest, which was completely kind of restricting the way I sang, restricting my expression and all of it. And I've been on a really big, long journey over the last 3-4 years to unravel that and heal and come to discover who I really am and what my voice is. And my art and my music has been probably the biggest part of my healing in that.
So, God, what must that have been like to be paused like midlife at the age of 26 and almost handed what feels like a life sentence? I would imagine it must have felt like at that point.
Yeah, it was crazy. But it was weird. I almost had the sensation before I found out I had become really numb and disconnected from life. And it was only when I was on stage that I could really feel anything. And so I knew something was wrong. And so when I was diagnosed, even though it was horrifically shocking and painful, the first thing I felt, and this is a bit mad, I went straight from the diagnosis to play a gig, like from the hospital onto the stage, because that's the way I coped with everything.
Yeah.
And the first as I went to sing was to 300 people, was out in the sunshine and in the summer. And the first thing was like, okay, you're going to get through this, and this is actually going to be the making of you, because you're not living. And this is, even though it felt like, what if I die? It was like, well, I'm not living. I'm existing for. I don't have a sense of self. So it was really the beginning of becoming my real self, I guess. Crazily. So it was a mix of emotions.
So for you, I suppose that was the trigger point of a journey of healing that was about the whole self, not actually just about the cancer, but about the whole self. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say so. And it was, as the more I went through my cancer journey, I sort of got a sense that as I healed this, I was also healing my emotional self and my self-esteem, and they all seem to be linked. So yeah, it was very holistic in that way.
So something that you would perceive to actually be taking your power, for you, it actually was the thing that brought your power back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I use the word alchemy a lot for that. And for me, that means it's like letting the darkest things in your life serve to be the things that bring the greatest treasures out of the depths of you. Yeah.
The things that heal you.
Yeah.
And so I remember kind of watching some of your journey, and when you were going through treatment and you were really quite ill, and kind of the idea of being a mum and having babies wasn't something that seemed to be on the cards for you in your journey.
Yeah. I mean, I was not thinking about it at that time at all. Obviously, so the start of my cancer journey, I had a lot of treatment. I was on chemo, radiotherapy, and none of that actually worked for me in the end. But I was not even sure if I would live much longer, and I had been deemed infertile. And then skipping forward through to the mad healing journey, I met my partner 2 months later and got pregnant. There's a lot to cover in 25 minutes.
We might have to have you back. We might have to do a few. I mean, we had a series, I think.
Chapter 1.
So for you now, when you look back, what are the things that stick out for you most on that journey? What were the pivotal moments? I suppose the highs and the lows. What are the times when you thought perhaps I can't do this, and then actually the times that showed you that you could?
All the time that I was putting my power outside of myself and feeling like I was helpless unless chemo could save me, or helpless unless holistic treatment could save me, or energy work could save, whatever, because I've done a lot of things. Every time I thought that the way I would heal was going to be from something outside of me, I would feel so afraid and so helpless and weak, and it's terrifying. And I think the turning point for me was when I decided that I was going to go completely my own way. It didn't matter what that looked like. It could have looked medical treatment. It could have looked something else. But I was going to follow what felt good for my body. And I was going to address my emotional insecurities and bring harmony that way to myself. I knew I could do that, and I could make art that made me feel good. And so I put all of my energy into writing music that made me feel good, into only taking medicine that made me feel good, to only eating foods, all of that, and allowing my emotions to be expressed and unpacking some of that stuff that I'd never looked at. And those were the real moments where the power suddenly wasn't on the outside. I was like, oh, okay. So for me, courage was then, if I have the courage to do it the way that feels good for me and believe that that can be my path to healing, then anything can happen. And, sure enough, lots of impossible things happen. And that's the way. It's just the way that it happened for me. But yeah.
Did you find that music was the thing that helped to keep you going through that period, being able to express through that period? Because you wrote a lot during that time, didn't you?
I did. It was crazy. When I first got diagnosed, as I said at the beginning, I'd sang for a lot of different people as a session singer, and I was really successful. And I had a record deal, but it was under a sort of a guise where it wasn't really what I wanted to do. It was working in music that didn't move me. It was okay, but it didn't move me. So when I got diagnosed, the first thing I did, when I got onto cancer treatment, the first thing I did was I put together an 8-piece band. And I was going a bit crazy. I was like doing chemo and then like doing gigs at the Jazz Cafe in London whilst doing chemo and being a bit of a nutter. And it was quite an amazing time of my life because I was so lit up suddenly with this freedom of expression, because it was now or never, that even though I was dying, it was like a really strange paradox of a really exciting, fulfilling time. But then the next, obviously I had to later learn how to do that healthily and look
balance
not
that.
The ground. So the music, it kept me going through all of those really difficult things, and I channeled like all of that energy and the things I learned about myself into that music. So this music's like living, breathing transmissions of my experience, the light and the dark, and celebration of all of it.
It's hard when you get caught up in the music industry and kind of seeking that contract and seeking that deal, but it's sometimes really difficult to be who you are yourself as an artist, that you try and fit the molds that are already created for you rather than being able to freely express who you are. And I think that's what's been quite beautiful in your journey, being able to see you transition into that true expression of self. Like, I've watched you perform a lot, and when you talk about that light that lit you up, I saw that. And you don't know me, I don't know you, but I've actually watched your journey from Anna Russell's group for the last 3 years, and kind of just I've seen you perform, and I've seen how that music and how that energy has carried you through. Well, what about kind of the people around you? Because no man is an island, and I know that you've had a great kind of network of light workers and support around you, kind of lifting you and carrying you on the journey too. What has that kind of been like?
I mean, you've pinpointed all the best things that allowed my healing to be possible. So making my music was one thing, but the people around me who were dared to believe in me doing things my own way, me just going out there and following my heart in the world, even if I was given, not much longer left to live, still choosing to do my own thing. But I was only able to do that because the people around me believed in me and saw me and said, you are beautiful, you're so worthy of life and staying alive longer to like create this music or to live a full life. And that's what Courage, the video, is really a testament. There's the 3 aspects. There's like the celebration of the dark and the light, which was like Holly was in the dark point in her journey. There's a music video, by the way. I don't know if we even touched on that, but my friend Holly was going through chemo when we shot the video. She was bringing her beauty in that difficult time. I was there pregnant and out the other side, but it wasn't any more beautiful. I was also shining in that part. And then there was the women around me, the women around me on the throne, which were there to say, when you shine, we all shine. And it's like breaking that kind of taboo that when one of us shines, it means that we're arrogant or the other person's less than, or there's competition. It's like, no, when we dare to shine in our light, like that gives permission for all of us.
Everybody.
That was a big part of my healing, yeah.
So a lot of the people that supported you on your journey were part of the music video for Courage. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of making my own brand right now, of getting people from my journeys into the music video and living alchemy.
It's amazing. So what was it like to, or I suppose the question for me is, what do you think healed you? We were at a stage where we were talking about end of life stuff, and then all of a sudden, just like magic, but obviously it's not magic because you've been the one on the journey. But for you, what do you feel?
Wow, it was really this pivotal moment where I had, so from the very beginning when I was diagnosed, I had this strange feeling that I was going to have to heal myself. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I was like, what? I was like, I never even had a relationship with an inner world or inner healing or spiritual journey or whatever you want to call it. But that was always my guidance. But I went through the chemo, I went through the medical, and it didn't work for me. And then I even went through the holistic route, and I did oxygen therapy, and I did diets, and all the things that can serve as medicine. And I for me came to learn that anything can serve as medicine. Like, there's no right or wrong, and there's no one answer. But we have to find the thing that serves as our medicine. And that's why the placebo effect works, because it's like, you want to be something where it's like, actually, when you give power to something and you believe, you will create the landscape in your body. Your brain creates neuropeptides that creates the cells in your body to match your beliefs. And so I decided that when I came to understand that, I decided that I was going to heal through. I realized that for me, it was a lot of emotional, dense, painful experiences in my body that I'd held on to. Always here as well, where the tumor was in my chest, big tumor there. Always I felt, I'm insecure. And if anyone's watching and it doesn't resonate, and that's fine. It was because it was my experience that it worked. So I think it doesn't matter if it was even real. But every time I felt like this pain or anguish, I put it here. And so I started to do a lot of emotional therapy. I trained to be a self-love coach. And what that looked like was listening to all the parts of me I'd been afraid to voice, been afraid to hear. I went and faced fears and darkness in me. And I started to speak to myself and love myself. And as I started to do that, I just started to completely change the way I looked at my own deserving of living. And I came across this, like, I didn't realize that on a deep level, I actually didn't feel worthy of life. That was a shock. I didn't know I felt that. I was so repressed. And that's why I was never able to make my own music or never able to create the life I wanted. And when I realized that that was the case, I put all of my attention into changing it. And I surrounded myself with community who also believed that of me. And I had some amazing experiences where I was held in circle by loads of people who really supported me in the love that I really am and the beauty that I am. And slowly I started to believe that I was worthy of life and that these emotions in me were okay, that I could feel them. And as I did, I stopped all other treatments. It's like everything contributed probably a bit, but I mean, blood cancer wise, it's supposed to be completely incurable without the stem cell transplant that I never had. And I chose not to have it and go my own way. And sure enough, within 4 months of me really daring to go into all of those spaces where it felt really uncomfortable and start to love them, my tumor started to reverse exactly the same rate. So that's just my experience of it. And as I did that as well, then I started to be able to bring my art into the world and find my own voice. And the more I went into the darkness, the more I found my gifts. And then I got pregnant 2 months later after being infertile. So it's just like...
This is why you blow my mind, I mean, this is why you blow my mind. You get told you might only have a few months to live, and actually most of us would actually fall to pieces and give up, and you said no, absolutely not. I refuse. I'm going to actually look at all the deep and broken parts of myself and fix them, and then fix myself in the process.
And it's like, you can call it what you want. People in the spiritual community will call it energy healing and Kundalini healing. You could call it placebo effect. You can say it was a fluke. It doesn't matter, because the miracle is the fact that it's like, when you dare to believe, you can change the fabric of what's possible. Just because, like, our version of impossible is just where we've created this like illusion of a boundary. And as soon as we allow ourselves to go beyond that, or like make that boundary bigger, our entire reality that we perceive grows, and things happen outside of our previously conceived, paradigm. So it's just, I'm in the business of shifting the boundaries.
I think we all struggle with that feeling of being worthy, don't we? That I think we all do. Most of us won't admit it, but I think to a certain extent that's human nature, to struggle with the fact that we deserve to be here and that we're valid. And so to be in one of the darkest time of your life and actually to challenge yourself in that and then grow through that and heal through that is a story that everybody needs to hear, I think.
Well, that's my hope. I mean, I write the music I do now because I want everyone to know how powerful they are. And I am in no way walking that in my life all the time. Like, I was so insecure. I had to go through a lot to stay alive. But still, my boyfriend would tell you, I'm like, I get so insecure. I get freaked out about doing talk shows. I'm all the time having to remind myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, to be a woman on a throne, like surrounded by other women, that was edgy for me to put out into the world, because it could get perceived in a different way than it's intended. But I just want people to know that they all deserve a throne and they're all majestic. And that's why I do what I do. It's like, you are amazing. It's okay to be amazing. And, loving myself saved my life. And it's so weird to me that we've made self-love mean arrogance. So weird. No, like,
it's not a British thing to love yourself, is it? It's not, you can't.
It's not okay. It's like, but then if you're telling people they couldn't love themselves, then it's like, how do you love them and how do you love you? And would you say it to a child? And, what if we can all be loved and all be beautiful and just accept one another? And I just want my music to be able to allow people to do that for themselves so that they do it for others inherently.
So talk to us a little bit about the music then. What's the plan? So Courage has just been released. That was right, a couple of days ago. Is that right?
Yeah, and I wrote that song when I was on chemo, so it's been a long time coming. Shot the video 8 months pregnant. So I finally got to a place where I was brave enough to even, you know, bring the music to the world that I had created. And so I've got another single coming out next month, and that's called Testament to Love. Again, it's got some real people who've been in my journey all the way along. My sister and one of my best friends are in it, modeling this man and woman relationship dynamic, the way that we, you know, the way we dance within relationships and show each other our ugly and then show each other our sweet, and all of that.
I think I'm gonna like this one.
It's fun. And then I got really wild in it. It was great. And then I got Get Deep is the name of my EP, and that's coming out in September. And I might be doing a little live stream launch thing from London. We'll see. And again, that one's got a community of women from all around the world in that video who have been the real women who have been part of my healing journey. And it's almost like courage is, I like to think of my art now as like they're living, breathing transmissions. They're not just music, it's stories. Like the first one, Courage, is about shining in your own light and finding your sovereign beauty. The second one's about doing that within relationship and allowing the dance of that in relationship. And the third one, Get Deep, is about really that wider community of going deep within ourselves and supporting one another in that journey. So yeah, it's been fun making them.
And yeah, that's what's so incredibly powerful about art, isn't it? It gives us a platform to spread a message. It gives us an opportunity to build hope in a way, or spread positivity. It gives you power, and what you do with it is completely up to you. And actually, I think what you're doing with it is quite amazing. It's quite amazing.
Thank you. It's so nice to like come on here and chat with you. It's so nice that you've been following my journey, and I love the name Integrity Magazine. It's so cool.
Right. So tell us kind of, where did your journey with music start? So obviously it didn't start at your cancer journey. It started a long time before that. When did your journey with music start?
Cancer journey was like the catalyst to the real music. So I've been a singer my whole life and sang professionally since 15. So I was very indoctrinated into like function gigs and using my voice in quite an aggressive way from a very young age. Like I didn't really warm up. I had a very powerful voice at a young age, and I've actually had a journey with cysts and nodules because I used to overdo it. And yeah, I got into it so young that it was more comfortable for me to be on stage than off stage. So I think by the time I was 26, that's why I'd really burnt out and needed to find out who I was. But yeah, it's been a long, amazing journey with music, and supported some really, really awesome artists. And I'm hoping that going forward, it's going to be like the whole package, like, you know, the self-love and the music and all of it, but from a healthier embodied place.
If you could speak to the younger Abi now, starting out her music journey, what would you tell her? What advice would you give her?
You have nothing to prove because you're already so beautiful. So just let it radiate from you. You don't need to try so hard, is what I would say.
Oh, I love that.
Exactly. What everyone deserves to hear, because it's the truth.
So you're going to actually perform a little bit of Courage for us today, which I'm quite excited to hear.
Oh yeah, I am, aren't I? Okay.
Before I let you do that, as you know, we're called Integrity Magazine, and so we would like to know, not that you've already told us in our whole interview, but what does integrity mean to you, Abi?
I love that question. Integrity to me now, I've been on a journey with the word myself. It means all of it, loving all of it, being all of it, not leaving anything out. Therefore, coming into wholeness, you know, dark, we perceive, it's being able to love all of it and own all of it and come into the wholeness of life and the experience of your life and yourself. That's, for me, that's what it is.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you today, Abi. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Just sit here really people last 5 minutes. So you're going to do Courage for us today, but before you do that, can you tell everybody where they can find you, your music, your socials, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you can find me the best places on Facebook or Insta. So Instagram is at Abi the Singer, ABI the Singer, and Facebook is Abi Flynn Singer, all one word. And yeah, I'm on Spotify now. Courage has just come out, and the videos on YouTube. So yeah, go check it out, and it's nice to finally be coming out in the world with my music.
Amazing to have you. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to you now. So when you're ready.
I don't know how this is going to sound because this is going to be a dodgy sound setup, but here we go. I'm playing it through. Oh no. Okay. I need to find a way to play it to you. One sec. I've got a Bluetooth speaker, so I apologize if it's not very right. This is the gigging life now, though, hey?
It is. Yeah, it is. It's great that we can actually still gig in a way.
One sec. Otherwise, I'm going a cappella. There we go. Okay, I've got it. I've got to come straight in. So much courage in my soul. I have so much courage in my soul. All it takes is to relinquish the control. Gotta step outside illusions of control. And I fall into the beauty of it all. Yeah. Sit back as the mystery unfolds. And the perfection of what we could have known. Yeah, the perfection is something to behold. And that's courage. It's courage. It's courage. It's courage. Through the pain, the lies of the day, we'll all have this place in God. So let courage be your guide. There's beauty untold, so forget what you know. Yeah, I have so much beauty in my heart. There is so much beauty in this heart. I feel the warrior rise up and fuel my heart. Ooh, I'm a warrior, I'll make a brand new start. Yeah, that's courage. Yeah, that's courage. Ooh, that's courage. Through the pain, the loss of new pain, all hands is peace God. So let courage be your guide. And what you know, because it's beauty untold. Let's live it fast. You are powerful. I'm just ad-libbing now, cause I want you to know you got a light inside your soul. If you just go into the places you don't want to go. Yeah. are powerful. Hey, so much courage. Your courage.
Oh, damn.
Your courage. Ooh, so much
Wow. Can I just say some magic just happened in the room here? Look at the goosebumps on my arms. There's some real alchemy going on right now. Abby, that was beautiful.
Thank you. The baby changing mat in the background is great.
Real life. Honestly, that was absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for joining us, Abby. Guys, please make sure you go and check out her stuff. Go and download Courage. Go and support this amazing woman on her journey. I know I will certainly be continuing to watch your rise, Abby.
Oh, thank you so much, Bekka. Great to meet you.
You too. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.